Today we are doing the third set of notes and we're going to be talking about solving equations. So here is a basic few-step equation. You need to get all the variables on one side, numbers on the other. So I'm going to get all my variables on the left side. So by subtracting that 8y, I'm now left with 5y plus 48 equals a negative 47. Be careful not to drop the negative. Then we're going to subtract that 48 over. They will cancel, so now I have 5y equals negative 95. And then the last step to do is divide both sides by 5 to get y by itself. So y is going to equal negative 13. Nope, not 13. Straight lies. Negative 19. There we go. Alright, so for the next one we have a few more steps involved. We have to distribute first, so we're going to distribute that negative 7, and we're going to distribute the 3. So here we have 3x minus 14x plus, let's see, 7 times 10 is 70. 7 times 3 is 21, so plus 91 equals negative 6x plus 27. Going back to what we talked about in the lesson prior, we're going to combine these like terms on the left-hand side. So 3x minus 14x is a negative 11x plus 91 equals negative 6x plus 27. Now we're going to actually get into solving, so we're going to get all the variables on one side. So I'm going to add my 6x over. So by doing that, I have a negative 5x. And then I am going to subtract the 91 from both sides. So I have negative 5x equals a negative 64. Divide both sides by negative 5. This one won't divide evenly, and that's okay. You can either leave it as a fraction as 64 over 5, or if we divide it by 5, we could put it as a decimal, and that will be negative 12.8. So that would be solving algebraic equations. You have one variable and you get a numerical value. The next thing that we're going to talk about is literal equations, and this is when I have multiple variables and I'm asking you to manipulate the equation for a specified variable. So here I'm asking you to solve this equation for h. So to do that, I need to get h by itself. So right now I have a bunch of multiplications between L, W, and h. So if I want h by itself, I'm going to divide both sides by LW. So they cancel, and I now have h equals v over LW, and h is now by itself. So notice you're not going to get an actual numerical answer, you're just going to get more letters, if you will. Here is another equation. This is area of a trapezoid. So again, they're asking you to solve for h, which means I need to get b1, b2, and the 2 all to the other side. So my first step would be to clear the fraction, and to do that I'm going to multiply both sides by 2. That's going to cancel that 2 in the denominator of the fraction. On the left side I'm just going to have 2a. Now I'm left with all of this h times the quantity b1 plus b2. And most of you are probably saying, oh well, we should be distributing the h in. The problem is if I want to solve for h, I want to get h by itself. If I distribute h in, now I have h in two places and I've made it more difficult. So instead of distributing in, you notice that there's a multiplication between h and this quantity. So if I want h to be by itself, the opposite of multiplication is division. So I'm going to divide both sides by this entire quantity of b1 plus b2. So they are canceling. Now I have h by itself, so h equals 2a over b1 plus b2. So we're going to go through one more and that will be it. So this is just a random equation. It's not necessarily a specified formula for anything. I forgot to write the letter. They want you to find x. So we're going to get x by itself. So notice that I have x in two different places. I also have a fraction. So similar to the last problem that we did, I want to clear the fraction. So to do that, I want to multiply by the denominator. Because I have two fractions with two different denominators, I'm going to multiply everything by that common denominator of AB. Just don't neglect the 1 because that is a term. I have 3 total terms, so every term has to be multiplied by AB. For the first term, the A's are going to cancel, and I'm left with BX. 1 times AB would just be AB, and for the last term, the B's cancel, so I'm left with AX. Now, at this point, I have to kind of get everything that has an x on one side of the equal sign, and if it doesn't have an x, I need to get it to the other side. So I'm going to choose to move this bx over. I'm going to move it over by subtracting. So now I'm left with ab equals ax minus bx. Notice I can't actually subtract them, so I just kind of tack it on the end. On the right-hand side, they do have something in common. Notice they both have an x in common, so I'm going to pull the x out front. It's almost like undistributing. So if I divide both of these terms by an x, I'm left with a minus b. And now this is almost identical to the last problem that we did. If I need to get x by itself, again, I don't want to distribute it in because then I would be right back where I started in the previous step. If I need to get x by itself, I need to divide both sides by the a minus b. So let me come up here. So right now we're at x times the quantity of a minus b. We're going to divide both sides by a minus b. So x equals ab over a minus b. And we have successfully got x by itself. This is something that is very important because as we move throughout Algebra 2, you're going to have equations with x and y, and you're typically always going to have to get y by itself. So this is a very important skill that we are going to practice for a few days.